Amazon Game Studios done with New World and they're moving on to Lord of the Rings? And is the next expansion going to be fully outsourced? We're going to address these claims and talk about a leak that was posted on the internet a few days back. So let's jump in and talk about it. Now, I just made some bold claims, which we will get to, but I don't actually fully believe those claims, by the way. I don't think New World's being fully outsourced, but I do have a feeling that we might be heading towards maybe like getting an expansion every year, and I'm going to show you why. So the original leak here was Virtuoso Games Paris project leaks. Now the post has been removed. However, you can see at the bottom here it says this person's identity has been verified with them. So this mod basically confirmed what this person was saying, that their identity was true. It doesn't necessarily fully validate the information that they provided, only that there's some evidence to suggest that they would have insider knowledge. Okay. However, you can see that the information has been deleted. Now, this was actually over a month ago, but only about, I think, was it a week or 2 weeks ago, did we have this information leaked. I didn't speak about it much because we had all the expansion news. So what did this actually originally say? Now, I apologize for the going from like dark mode to a white bomb mode, but we do have this information here. I'm going to ignore everything else that's not relevant to New World because I literally just don't care. But it says they are also working on the expansion for New World by first working on the next DLC before taking a complete one on their own. Now, this bit you might be like, oh, what do they mean by that? That pretty much means the expansion we're getting in less than like 4 weeks, in 3.5 weeks. Now, you might be a little bit confused. Virtuoso Games have actually done work with New World before. They did it at launch. I don't know exactly the involvement, but they posted some artwork that they have on their website. Although I think this is actually ArtStation. But they obviously did like some 3D models, some 3D renders and stuff like that. I don't know what else they did beyond that, but it's not crazy to have a help from Virtuoso Games, simply because Virtuoso Games are effectively known for this kind of thing. I believe they've done work with Final Fantasy and probably other MMOs that I don't really know why, okay? So it's not crazy for some stuff to be outsourced. And Amazon, I feel like they've outsourced some of the art. They possibly also outsourced some of the actual item generation, but that's beside the point. However, it's not a surprise that this team here, this Virtuoso Games, will have helped with the expansion, because of course they would, right? They helped with the launch. That's a partnership that they've got going on. So having some bits outsourced isn't necessarily anything, right? That's completely normal. The fact they've worked on this expansion and the fact they worked on the launch, completely normal. But the thing that is really truly fascinating here is this next line: before taking a complete one on their own. Now that could be seismic. The implications of this could be huge. It could also be next to nothing. We obviously just simply don't have that information. Now the joke that has occasionally been made, rather unfortunately, is that, well, if Virtuoso Games are doing it and it's not touched by Amazon, maybe it will work. I don't believe that, but I do think that obviously Virtuoso Games have got a proven track record. I have no concerns over them doing an expansion for AGS, basically. If they do most of it, I'm sure it'll be as good as AGS. Could be better. I've no idea, right? I feel literally just no idea. So I'm not worried necessarily that they're outsourcing, but why might they be outsourcing? And for me, there's two possible answers to that question. One of them sort of harkens to this right now. This is just a joke that we've been doing on stream. You know, we had the expansion, copium, you know, jabronis, all that kind of stuff. I thought, what else should we actually cope on? And we've been joking about the roadmap, because we all now want to see what's coming after the expansion. We know what we're getting. We want to see the roadmap. By the way, I hope they do the roadmap this month. I think it would make sense, because there's a lot of content that seems to be sort of like missing. And they said 2024 should be a banger. So let's see if they're willing to give us that roadmap. I hope they are. However, until then, we were sort of joking around with this, okay? But what I'm really sort of bringing to your attention here is I'm sort of interested if this expansion might be coming next year, and maybe it will be a paid expansion. Everything else is sort of just wild speculation. I had to write "this is fake" because people were sort of believing me, even though I quite clearly wrote like "dead game" over there in season 8, but you know, never mind. But the point is, if they are outsourcing an expansion, it's possible that what they are doing is trying to increase the frequency of that information and that task. We know, because Scott said, that we're going to get some large bit of content every year. That's the plan. So we had Brimstone, then the expansion, Now, a lot of people are sort of expecting, oh, well, next fall's release will also be a free DLC, right? But I'm sort of suggesting that instead of it being free, it may actually end up being a paid expansion. And maybe this is the cycle they're going to go into. Now, that's wild speculation. But if they're going to outsource it, maybe they're outsourcing with an intent to increase the speed. Or they're outsourcing simply so that they can concentrate on different kinds of content whilst the next expansion is being worked on. Both perfectly viable, both perfectly fine. However, inevitably, I think a lot of people are going to come to this conclusion, that Amazon are simply done with New World. They want to sort of just box that up, milk the players until they're dry, and move on to the incredible future of Lord of the Rings MMO. And you know what? Technically, that could be what's going on. It's very possible that they're outsourcing to Virtuoso Games to create the expansion that'll be in 2 years' time, with the intent that they can focus more of their staff on Lord of the Rings. That is a distinct possibility. Now, do we know that? No, we don't. The actual answer to the question is what's going on and why, is we actually don't know. So we know what they're doing, apparently, if you believe the leak, but we definitely don't know why. It's either because they just want that frequency of content and feel like that they can't and don't have the resources, or it's because they want to sort of shift focus a little bit and move to Lord of the Rings. Or there's always the possibility that there's a third option that I just simply aren't aware of, obviously. I personally don't think this is any cause for concern. As I said, Virtuoso Games have a very proven track record. They've helped in a lot of other games. They've helped a lot of studios across the world. Like, there's no reason to worry that they're doing it. You might worry that AGS are sort of taking their eye off it, but you know what? I'm not really bothered if we still get good content. Like, I'm not really bothered who's making it as long as the game is good. Obviously, internally, we can expect some kind of shift to Lord of the Rings at some point. I've no idea how many people are working there. I've no idea who's getting what allocated where, etc. We don't know. I'm sort of personally wildly speculating that they might be going with an expansion every year, simply because they said they're going to do something big every year. And we saw Brimstone, and Brimstone wasn't that dissimilar to the paid expansion, to be real. Yes, the paid expansion is bigger, and I don't want to demean it or undermine it, but just in terms of content, they like both had a zone, a new zone or rework zone, whatever you want to say, a couple of new systems, etc. And yeah, and if they're getting external help more consistently, then maybe they can do that more consistently as well and give us an expansion every year. Maybe a bit too big of a claim? I don't know, we'll see. So I'm not personally concerned, but I do think the information is interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Huge shout out to my Patreons and my current YouTube members. I'm trying to like push Patreon, so if you really want to help, Patreon's the best way. Like, I literally just get a high percentage of the money. There's no like two ways about it, right? And I've gone full time, so I'm sort of looking to make as much money as possible because I need it to, like, you know, sustain. Or you can of course come and watch me over on Twitch. I'm streaming 6 days a week. I don't stream on Saturdays, but I will be once the expansion drops or when the PTR drops, but typically I don't stream on Saturdays, but I do stream 6 days a week, so you can probably find me. Although I'm quite bad times for you West Coast Americans, unless you stay up very, very late, which I know some of you D-gens do. What you should definitely do though is have a most beautiful day, like and subscribe. Goodbye.